And
And
that's
it's
where
true.
balance steps in. You got to step back and give more time and show yourself more present with your own kids, because it starts first ministry starts in your own household.
Right.
Were you about to say,
I,
Gene?
yeah, I was going to say, and what actually we need to transpire in situations like that. Like we need to have those sit downs with your children. Sit down and ask them what they need. What do you need from me? How can I uh, create a environment where you feel safe, where you feel loved, where you feel seen? How can I do that? And that, I mean, and with that, you allowing yourself to be vulnerable to your children who see
Mm.
you as a strong figure. So it kind of sets an example of, okay, my dad is not so full of himself that he can't humble himself and ask me, what can I do better as a father, as a
Right,
person?
right,
That's
right.
good. That's
I think that's
good.
hugely important.
That's good.
I used to
Good.
have those type of conversations with my children often. Hey, what can I do differently? Or Dad, I didn't like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so what can I look? It was my perspective. What can I do differently? What can I do better? So, and that's what I
Well,
guess
yeah,
is something major.
I think as fathers, we've got to have balance, and to your point, we got to always be humble and evolving. Knowing
Right,
that we're not perfect, our children are not perfect,
right,
and just continuing to grow, which leads us into our next point, which is support system.
mhm,
Brotherhood provides a vital support system where individuals can rely on one another during challenging times. This mutual support fosters emotional resilience and personal growth. And if we're going to jump into support system, Gene, you probably already know where I'm going with
oh
this. I
yeah,
think every man, and I'm going to even push it down to, I wish I'm going to start. I mean, I'm a new grandfather to my first grandson.
congratulations,
Congratulations.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks. I think it's coming up on 3 weeks now.
Big Pop.
One of the things, yeah, big papa.
All right,
But one of the things I want to instill in him early in his life is to locate his Paul, his Barabbas, and his Timothy. His Paul is that older father figure, or more. Doesn't necessarily be older, but someone who's more mature, who's more seasoned in
right,
life than he is, who
right.
pours. All he
Yep,
gets from that guy, that person, is he just pours into him, pours and pours, life and belief and encouragement, support, love, all these things. And then he's got to encounter his Barabbas. His Barabbas is his boy, that he was rolling with, his ride or die. That when he's wrong, he's going to hold him accountable. He's accountability
right,
partner.
right,
Man, you shouldn't have done that, man. You shouldn't have talked to that girl like that. You should have
right.
handled that situation better. You should have
Yep,
paid that bill. You shouldn't have spent that money on this thing over there. But that's also, that dude is going to be his biggest cheerleader. He's
right,
going to be the one that's celebrating him when everybody else is turning their back and thinking he's not going to be able to do it. He's going to want to be the one pushing him.
yep,
And then finally, he's got to have that Timothy, that man or that person that he himself is doing all the pouring. No expectations coming back other than him pouring himself. Everything he's learned, everything he's been taught and experienced, he's pouring that into that younger person. I think a man is full or at his best when he has his Paul, his Barabbas, and his Timothy. What you guys
Can
think?
I ask you? Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So, like, I think most people automatically understand the Paul and Barabbas because we want to be poured into, and we understand having that accountability partner. But like, why is it important for us to pour into someone else? Like, where does that come into play?
To the point that was made in the beginning about, I think it was you, AL, men need to be needed. You were talking about,
yeah,
Gene, you were talking about
yeah.
the
No,
mothers,
that was a yeah, yeah.
okay, watching the young sons watching their mothers talking about how they don't need a man, stuff like that.
Right,
It's innate by God, put into a young man or a male to be needed.
right,
So that pouring into that young man fulfills that need. So I think sometimes men are looking for that from their wife or their girlfriend. I need to be needed by my girl, or something like that, or situations like that. But sometimes that need can be fulfilled just in you pouring into another young man who doesn't have a
right,
father figure. Back to the original point that we started the whole discussion about.
Mhm.
yeah,
I think another benefit to it is they say that like you don't know something unless you can teach it to somebody else. Like you don't truly know it until you can teach somebody else, and so it almost reinforces your beliefs. Whatever you're pouring into them, it becomes more solidified in you as well. So no, I just wanted to hit on that because I know like a lot of times we just hear that yeah, someone's pouring into me and my accountability partner, but nobody talked about the benefits of pouring into others, and so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's essential. That's your
And
way of giving back. That's
yeah,
you reap what you sow. So as I pour into, I'm sorry, Gene, I'm gonna be
yeah.
quiet. I want to let
No,
you know.
you saying what I was just about to say
No,
that.
different voice. You say it. I want you to say
Right.
it. It's on your heart.
But yes, so what you give to others, you receive.
Mhm.
Uh, and that's period. It's the law of attraction. Everything that you put out, you receive back tenfold. So just giving that, and also like if you look at research, one of the things they tell you about people who experience depression, if you go out and do something for someone else who has less than you or perceived less than you, then you feel good because your body releases chemicals and endorphins that help you. Okay, okay, I did something to improve someone else's life, so now my life is improved as
Yeah.
a counteract.
Mm.
Well, to your point, it reminds me when we were doing a show and you were talking about the circle of life.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep. Yep.
Maybe speak for a minute on that. I thought that was so powerful. It kind of what you just said, but that circle of life, you had a different kind of spin on that. So
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what I said, but it's just that everything feeds into the other. Um, what you do for someone else comes back to you, and it's a constant cycle. You feed, something is being fed, and it's just over and over again. You get that cycle, that return, and then it just makes life better. But if you were to do something negative, you get the same cycle over and over again. Every
right,
every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
right.
Right, right.
Just had a quick question for both of you, or all three of you. That's why I popped back in and everything. But how much is the brotherhood? Because y'all talking about brotherhood come from different circles. Because I find that a lot of times your brotherhood isn't always the same folks you expect. Like I've got this pod TV brotherhood that I see y'all at all the time, but it's part of the Unbreakable Souls. But there are some other brothers that I work with on this network, like Grant McGaw, and also my friend Zach, who's got his own network that's in that funk music space. But so there's that kind of brotherhood. But I don't know. I was just thinking about my younger brother. My younger brother has a couple of friend circle groups, for lack of a better term. Like I've mentioned to y'all before, that he's got his Slingshot Club, which is the car club,
Yeah.
and all along those lines. So that's a lot of brothers that he bonds with under that love of the cars and everything.
Right.
And the same thing with what he pulled me into some probably 10 or 15 years ago, because this is about to be football season. So the fantasy football stuff that he got me into. So I'm trying to figure out what players I'm going to draft and all along those lines. But we've got a lot of brothers and some sisters that are involved in that. So there's that brotherhood and the common interest, because there's the love, both the love of football, but also the love of statistics and the players and what they're doing, because that's what fantasy football is all about. So I just wondered y'all's thoughts around those bonds that you develop, and maybe they're not always bonds from the traditional sources like church and school, but they're from different
Right.
organizations as well. So I just wanted y'all's thoughts about that, because I know that Gene has got his band, which is a band of brothers and sisters, and I'm sure you got some things even with your coaching. And I don't know that much about what AL's got, but maybe he's got some clubs that he's involved with as well. But I was just wondering how that plays into y'all's development of these bonds that are part of the brotherhood.
Yeah.
Mm.
So actually, the funniest thing is you led right into the third point, which is
I was wondering
diversity
if
and
y'all was
inclusion.
gonna-
So that's perfect timing, Mark.
Yeah.
So to go on to the point, brotherhood transcends differences in background, beliefs, and lifestyles. Embracing diversity within brotherhood can lead to richer relationships and a deeper understanding of the world. Um, so to that point, like my friends all are just vastly different and very much the same. And it's the differences between us that actually bring us closer, because it's like I want to learn about that. And so you grow as a person, and then that bridges you tighter together as comrades. And I have friends who are from different backgrounds, different sexual orientations, different colors. My best friend, um, shoot, he's a white guy, and I mean like we've been best friends since I was 10. and like that is my best friend. Like we talk every day at some point. But his lifestyle was similar to mine and very different. And through beginning to know him, I started to learn different skills, and now I use.
Mm.
So
But just on that same line, because as you were saying that, I was thinking that my younger brother that I mentioned, my only brother in that sense, because it was just me and Malik, but he was very much into video games. He's still into video games to some degree. He actually developed a pen pal friend, and that pen pal friend actually at one point decided that they wanted to move. They were living, I think, in Philadelphia or something along those lines. So it was that love of the video games and their communications and their talking. He now lives in the same state that I live in. He lives in North Carolina because when he needed to find a place to move and a job, that friendship actually uh, help him line up the job that he got and everything. Because he's like, how can I find a job? And then I'll reach out to my brother, and Malik told him about some of the development things in this area. And it is my understanding from him that he helped him come down here from up north and everything along those lines. But it was that friendship that they had over literally a video game. I think it might have even been Call of Duty, like one of those war type games, and they became friends over that game. And we had the point in his life that he needed to move. He was like, well, I'm thinking about coming down to North Carolina. And he moved not to my city. I think he's in one of our cities in the adjacent county and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think for me, diversity and inclusion, I'm always trying to walk in someone else's space. You know, especially when we just talked about the Paul, Barabbas, Timothy, especially the Timothys of my life. I want to enter their space. I don't want them to have to come up to me. So you mentioned video games. So like one of the things I did with my sons, I mean, I like video games, but I'm not the super gamer like they were. But some of our best conversations was dad sitting down next to them, putting on the headphones and playing video games with them. Or just finding the young people, you know, that we're pouring into, finding the areas or space that they are interested in and jumping into them, which now creates an opportunity of trust and respect.
yeah,
Um, the hard lessons or questions or things that you want to now share with them, now they're open to.
Yeah.
You know, they're vulnerable to because you've entered their space.
right.
Kind of takes me back to Jesus feeding the 5,000. This is foundational for me in my faith. And I hope you guys think about this in relationships, that what I take from that lesson is that he met the natural need of the people first. Him being God, he knew everything they needed spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever. But he understood the concept. If I meet the natural need of these people first, then that brought instant credibility, trust, and rapport. Now, the spiritual things that he wanted to share with them, they were open. They had an open ear, ready to hear.
Yeah,
Right.
it makes a lot of sense. As you were just saying that, Coach, I was just thinking about something that got some negative criticism or negative pushback and everything. But to me, and I don't know what y'all thought, it was one of the most beautiful moments of fatherhood or a father-son relationship and everything. So I don't know if y'all paid attention to the political landscape this past week because the DNC was going on and everything. But one of the most touching moments that I saw was literally a neurodivergent son of one of the candidates who was so proud of his dad that when he sat and was making his speech, he literally sat there and said, "That's my dad," and everything along those lines. And that was the gentleman that was the vice president's son and everything. So Tim Walz has two kids, one a daughter, and he's also got that neurodivergent son. And that's a whole other type of things that parents have to deal with. Is folks in that ADHD kind of space and everything. And there have been some forces out there that have given him a hard time, but I don't know about the rest of y'all. But when I saw him doing that, it actually teared me up and everything because I'm sitting there going like, he's in the midst of all of that hoopla, he was recognizing that his dad was stepping into a greatness lane and everything.
Yeah, yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, that's definitely heartwarming. It's different when your child is proud of you for you being your best self.
Right.
Then that also creates the lane for them to do the same thing. You set the example.
Mm.
So yeah, and then like you said, dealing with a child who has ADHD or is on the spectrum,
Right.
when they recognize, like, because their mind operates differently. Actually, their mind operates way more complex than ours do. And when they recognize, moments like that, like you said, stepping into his greatness is just like, wow, okay, he's very aware. He's very in tune or
Mhm.
attuned to what's going on around them, and just to see that I guess the pride in his eyes, man. I
Right.
can guarantee you, once his father saw that later on, he probably teared up too.
Yeah.
That's my son.
What you chomping on, AL?
Oh no, but look, I'm just enjoying the conversation. I'm just enjoying the conversation, man. This is good. This is good. But no, I think having a diverse brotherhood is important. I think with anything, like diversity of thought is extremely important, and it's something that's
Yes.
really lost in society now. Like when you think about social media and how the algorithm works, it
Yeah.
creates echo chambers because it gives you more of what you think versus
Right.
having that diversity that challenges your thought and helps you expand. And
Right.
so a lot of times, like we remain stagnant and we don't grow because our thoughts are never challenged. And so
Right.
I see that as one of the key benefits of having a diverse brotherhood, different backgrounds, different perspectives, and it challenges you. The other thing is exposure. So like,
Mhm.
again, I didn't have my father in the home. The first time I actually went hunting with a friend of mine. That's
Right.
what he did, and so it exposed me to something that I needed to learn as a man. I'm not a handyman. I'm real quick to say that, but I have
Yeah.
friends who are, and so
Yes.
having that access to people who have different information is important. And so it's like when you're building your brotherhood, there can be some level of intentionality to that.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
I've got my boys that I grew up with. We shared the same experiences, but now that I'm able to select my friends, I'm able to go out and get into different circles. Who do I need in my circle? Like that's something that we
Right.
have to identify. Like who do I need in my circle and seek those people out so that we can continue to grow.
Yeah. That's
Sometimes that
powerful.
brotherhood can come at interesting times because you mentioned that you had that friend, Gene, and everything that was one of your best friends that's a white gentleman and all along those lines. And I remember that many years ago when I worked at a pharmaceutical company in like their shipping and receiving department, there was a young fellow there and was in some of the early days, so we're talking 15, 20 years ago, of rap music and everything. And he was definitely a country young gentleman. I mean, we're talking about he was probably the epitome of a redneck, but because he knew that I loved and was interested in music, we developed a bond. Unfortunately, I lost touch with him because he would be sharing his rap lyrics with me. So he would literally be writing these rap lyrics and he would share them with me on his notebook. And they were actually some pretty good rap lyrics. I mean, some of them were dealing with the stereotypical rap things because he was part of the drug culture, for lack of a better term, but there were also some relationship things that were there as well. But I just remember him even to this day, even though we lost touch, but having that bond and him just wanting to share with an elder. Because even at that time, I was probably, if I'm 60s now, I was probably in my 30s or 40s at that time, and he was probably like late, early 20s or something along those lines. But just sharing that bond with him over a common interest, the interest of music and
Right.
culture.
Right.
Yeah. That's powerful. I learned that concept, I think, pretty early in life, around the church.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a church I went to in the city, and the pastor actually had a mechanic shop across the street from the church. And I would go sit and just watch the OGs play dominoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Dominoes. And
Dominoes or chess,
yeah,
checkers are one of those.
checkers. Yeah. So, but speaking of diversity and inclusion, it was just so many different types of men would roll through those games. And so I gained so much intel
Hmm.
into different situations or experiences because of that particular situation. It was just powerful.
Yeah,
And obviously in the moment you don't
yeah.
seize the opportunity and realize the value of what you're
Right.
gaining. But now as a 53-year-old man reflecting back on the knowledge and wisdom that was thrown out in that game was just powerful.
Coach
Yeah.
G, that actually brings a question about brotherhood to you that I was going to ask, and all along those lines. Because another thing that I remember is I've lived in different apartment complexes here in Durham, but one of them I lived in, I think it was called the Oaks and everything. But there was a church. Oftentimes you're trying to find your church home, and it was very much of a Pentecostal church. My family is more raised Baptist, and I consider myself, as I've told y'all on this show, more spiritual than religious. But one of the things I do remember of that church was a couple of them times going out on like some male bonding field trips and everything. Like I think they did one to do gardens and we just sat there and bonded over things. I think there was another time that we went to one of our local restaurants. It might have been Mayflower or something like that. So I know the pandemic got people away from some of those things and everything. So I just wondered, are the churches still doing those male bonding things? Because like I said, this was probably 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. And I actually enjoyed that conversation. Might not always enjoyed every aspect of that particular church, but I did enjoy those male bonding trips. So I was just wondering, as one that's involved in the church, both you, well, primarily you, Coach G, and I think AL as well, is that something y'all are seeing the churches continue to do? Because that is a place where the brotherhood can be built.
I would say there was a long stretch of time where it wasn't. So we had that when I was younger. We used to like go camp out and just have different bonding events.
Mhm.
As I got older, it seems like that fed out. It just kind of faded out. Not sure why. Maybe I don't know. A lot of men left the church. I would say like kind of early 2000s, but I do see a resurgence of that. That's one of the things that we do with Elevating Men, and so we have a monthly prayer breakfast. We call it the Man Cave Prayer Breakfast. We do it every month. We just get together, we pick different topics, we discuss them. We have speakers come in, etc. And I'm seeing more churches around the city beginning to adopt that. And so, yeah, I think it's coming back. I think it's making a comeback.
Well, hey, good point. I want to pivot in this space, really to throw at AL and Gene, since we're talking about diversity and inclusion, in relationship or marriage. So, and now you're, as you're dating and marrying, now you're bridging two families together. What a better example of diversity and inclusion and bringing differences together to make one.
Right.
Speak into that. What's that look like? How's that feel?
Yeah. So when you marry someone, you're merging families, you're merging mindsets, finances, you're merging so many different things, and it makes you aware of parts of yourself, like where you need to grow, because that's what a partner is about. They're supposed to help you strengthen your weaknesses and further fortify your strengths. Um, so yeah, I mean that is a great opportunity, especially if like you have kids in a situation like that.
Right.
Oh man, like now you become a role model. So it's like you have to. If you didn't have that example, then you create it in your head, or create it through your character. Just because you know what's needed as a guardian. So yeah, it helps you automatically grow. It's like you're put on, you're put there, push forward. Now it's time to grow, and these kids are going to follow you, or this relationship is going to stretch you in ways that you never expected.
Also,
So much.
I think love makes you more open-minded.
Right.
Automatically. So if there's somebody that you have no connection to, there's no love there, and you don't see eye to eye on the topic, you just dismiss it as I don't see eye to eye with that person, and you keep it moving. But when it's someone that you're trying to form a bond with, especially long term, as in marriage or a long term relationship, you could have two completely different perspectives. But because you love that person, you're like, well, let me hear them out and at least try to see their point of view, because it can, create another bond. It's another level of trust and intimacy, when we can let go of a portion of ourselves to pick up a portion of them. And so
Right.
I think that that would be the biggest way that I see it really stretching you, is just the love actually being a part of the equation makes you more open minded automatically.
That's good.
Coach, if I could just add something to that, and I know it doesn't always happen because I know when I'm not trying to touch on a sensitive topic that it doesn't always happen, including to some of the people that are here in this particular room. But it is beautiful that I have seen occasionally a brotherhood being developed by the extended expanded family, because sometimes when you have that blended family, they're expanded families. And I have seen a few cases. I've seen some cases that are not, it is not always able to happen, but I have seen some families where the ex and the current actually become friends and become brothers in their own right and everything. So I've actually seen and witnessed that. I think in some of my brother situations and everything where he became friends with that person that was the original spouse of the other person and everything. So it can happen. It doesn't always happen because sometimes people, coming back to our conversation around toxicity and putting some of the past behind you that they can not let it happen. But I have seen it happen where it can happen, and all along those lines. So just to throw that out there, because I've seen some brothers that literally you said they're going like, wait a minute, that's for your ex, and this is your current, and y'all still best of friends. But I've literally seen that happen.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I mean, I haven't personally
Sure.
experienced that situation,
Right.
but I think that's beautiful that it can happen. I've seen it happen. I'm just saying, me personally, that's never happened to me, but it's definitely possible, and I think it's powerful. So
So I would say now it's not necessarily it's not the romantic aspect of it. Like there are family members of my ex who I still talk to like weekly. They check on me. They call me uncle. Uncle Gene. I'm Uncle Gene to them. I've known
right,
them since they were like 4 or 5, and I still talk to them often, even though my ex and I are no longer together, and things gone toxic, but there are still people in that family who still regard me highly, which I was nervous about, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think I think that just the fact that you have a person who is from a past relationship that no longer exists, and you still have that bond. That means to me that bond was something that was genuine and
right.
authentic. So yeah,
and that bond can last for a long time. I was actually, it wasn't a male that I was talking to, it was actually a young lady I was talking to, but she actually works here in the center. And she was telling me that she's got some 64 nieces and nephews. And I'm going like, well, how many people you
Ooh,
got in your family and everything? But what she was breaking down with me was that those weren't all, to your point, Gene, those weren't all her natural siblings. They were people that
right,
were friends' kids and other
right,
kids, because she's like me, has no kids of her own, but she's got like some 64, because she literally was showing a couple of those kids were probably like 5 or 6, if that age. They might have been a little bit older. The literally the art around here and the building around here on the iPhone. Coming back to technology, she was showing them the building because they have that kind of bond and everything. So you're right that that bond can also exist, and it can be that extended family. I was actually talking on Zach's show earlier about how important the extended family can be, even among our various brothers and even some of the sisters as well.
yeah,
I like all of that. I think our next point is a good ending point for us for today. It's been a great discussion. Responsibility and accountability. I mean, just let
hmm
that marinate. Responsibility and
oh yeah,
accountability. I mean, being a part of a brotherhood often comes with a sense of responsibility, to look out for one another, kind of how we talked about in the beginning. This accountability helps us strengthen the relationships and promotes a culture of care and respect. Think about that. If we could get back to the original mindset of brotherhood and just ending with that last piece of that, that helps to strengthen relationships and promotes a culture of care and respect. Just imagine what that would look like. And I'm talking about all men, but right now specifically in the Black community, if we as Black men got back to a culture of care and respect for one another, what would
right,
that look like? How much? I mean, to me, that's like a nuclear bomb exploding in our community, but in
right,
a positive way,
right,
and bringing us back to our original self. I'm thinking about our families and culture in the 20s and 30s and 40s, 50s, before the introduction of like the ghettos and different things like that, welfare and systems like that were designed to divide us.
yeah,
That point, the design to divide us, like um, when you listen to our music, it's just our music, but we're talking about killing each other, robbing each other,
Right.
taking each other's women, and so it goes back to the beginning when we were talking about trust. It was like, okay, well, a key thing we need to do is open up to each other and have these
right,
conversations. But one reason we don't is because we don't trust each other. So then you
Mhm.
have to ask why, and then you look at these root causes: the music, social media, past hurts, past traumas, those things tear us apart. And so I love what you said there. We do have to learn how to like rebuild our brotherhood as a community. Not just the 3 or 4 of us, but at large. And how do we do that? And so I guess that would be my question to you guys. Like, what are some things that we can do to really start rebuilding that community of brotherhood on a larger scale.
Can I jump
Right.
in on that?
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, two things. One, I think if
Mark
you
lit
kind
up
of
and
allude,
started throwing in like a cookie was thrown out there.
yeah, a
I was
couple of things.
pulled up.
Well, a couple of things I was going to bring into the whole notion is that one, because y'all know that part of my one of my missions in life is you have to understand that history and understand our history and all along those lines because that was intentional. Like I said, I'm here in Durham and they literally ran a highway through us to destroy the Black Wall Street. But I love a quote that we have here that talks about how literally everything from cradle to grave you could have within our community. So we need to find ways to go back to supporting our different business owners that are doing things like that. Matter of fact, later on, I told you all I'm going to go probably about 30 minutes to an hour to Black August in the Park, which is celebrating our culture. And
Yes.
there's a number of them around the country and all along those lines. But it talks about how literally in this city, there was a man that could design your suit. Literally, you can make your own suit like a tailor, or he could design your shoes and they even make your bed, your mattress. And we got away from that and all along. But the other things that I get frustrated by, and I know some of my other friends get frustrated by, and I've heard all three of you say that to some degree, is this notion. The OJs did this song called Backstabber, and I think sometimes we take it too much at heart, and we are sitting there too much worrying about people stabbing us in the back and not figure and like taking it too much at heart in the what they're doing versus trying to find a common ground and everything. Because that's where I get frustrated. It's got that crab in the barrel attitude. It's like, well, I don't like him, so I'm gonna find a way to tear him down versus building him up. So I think we got to find ways to build our fellow brothers up and not tear them down, even if we disagree with them. I mean, there's people that are supporting that orange man that I don't like, but I'm not going to tear them down. They've got the right to do that, even though that's their prerogative. I will do things in my capital and my area to build the other person up. But I think sometimes we're too busy tearing people down and not finding ways to raise them up.
Yeah. So I would say, like, we have to get back to the community mindset.
Mhm.
Understanding that our life affects everyone around us. So we need to be authentic and genuine in our individual relationships, and then as it pertains to a community, I love the example of the Black Panther Party. They
Yep.
had everything set up for their communities where they had food, education, protection, all the essentials were taken care of. It was a community, everyone talked, everyone knew what the right hand and the left hand were doing. There was, obviously you have problems when you have communities, but it's something that you could work through. But there was a structure set up where they were constantly assessing the needs of the people around them and then providing programs to bridge those gaps. Um, so we had to just get back to the mindset that I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper. I see you need something. If I can provide it, then I provide it. And then the mutual support, like you said about the laundromat or the tailor, or the cobbler down the street. Hey, let's start rebuilding our own community so that we can look at each other and know that I'm doing something to help you, you're doing something to help me. So now that automatically creates a bond. We've gotten away from that, going to Walmart as opposed to going to these mom and pop shops, you
Mhm.
know, which has created again a dissonance in our communities. Um, so we just need to get back to supporting each other and being genuine and authentic when we interact with each other individually and collectively, understanding that we all have really the same goal. Now, how it looks, how you manifest, getting to your goal is on you, but we all have the same end goal, which is to be happy, to be provided for, to be cared for, and all of those things. So community mindset to me is what's sorely lacking now.
Yeah, you guys know my heart. I'm all about community. One of my concerns, though, as I'm diving a little deeper into this, I've been talking a lot about lately post-traumatic slave syndrome
Mhm.
and just how much it's innate. The experiences of our forefathers is a large part of what keeps us separated. And again, that was intentional. And I think
Yeah.
some of the things that they're being said and done now are subliminal and pull out that trauma inside of Black people and
Mhm.
push us away from things that we know we should be doing.
Yep.
Um, we were at our absolute best when we were together, when we were family. We took care of our neighborhoods, we took care of our communities, and we've gotten away from that.
Totally gotten away from that. I know I read it before, but I don't think AL was here on the last time I read it. But that quote that I had, because it's a short one, but I love this quote, and I'm going to read it to y'all. But it's actually from W.E.B. Du Bois. Today, there is a singular group in Durham where a black man may get up in the morning from a mattress made by a black man, in a house which a black man built out of lumber, which black man cut and planned. He may put on a suit which he brought at a colored haberdashery, and socks knit at a colored mill. He may cook victuals from a colored grocery on a stove which a black man fashioned. He may earn his living working for a colored man, be sick in a colored hospital, and buried from a colored church. And the Negro insurance company will pay his widow enough to keep his children in a colored school. This is surely progress. So that was what W.E.B. Du Bois wrote in his book, The Upbuilding of Black Durham, the Success of the Negroes and Their Value to a Tolerant and Helpful Southern City.
And it breaks my heart that one.
Yeah.
So I just say, brothers, we got to do our part. It's that old ripple effect, in the pond, that you throw the pebble in the pond and you think, oh, I can't make a difference, just me. But what if there's a million of us standing around watching the show and saying, what if I just start?
Right.
What if I do my part? Then that ripple effect going through the community will just be powerful. So I'm excited that I'm surrounded with 3 other brothers that are doing their part in the Black community. And I would say communities, because we don't just limit ourselves to the Black community, but that's home.
Right.
That's home. Your first ministry is your own home. So, and I think that's where I'm always outside groups say things about, why are you so focused on the Black community? But that's home. I mean, that's where my focus should start, is in my own home. So I applaud y'all for the efforts and the actions that you've taken, the sacrifices that you make, doing shows like this, to be vulnerable, to share your heart, and, just do your part, make that ripple effect start with you.
Yeah, no doubt.
We applaud you as well. Everything that you're doing.
And thinking of applauding, I think we should go out with Gene's song, that second song, not the first one. I think we should go out with Gene's song and all along those lines. It's another powerful song, and he's got all his comrades and everything along those lines. So we're sorry with y'all. I think we should go out with that song.
Okay. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you all. Yeah. Thank you all. Y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of the week. Be safe. Thank you all for being here with us at Unbreakable Soul.
Peace.
Peace.
Shots of clash ups in the creases. Sold parts of my soul to appease your demons. What the hell to bring you peace? And my heart lay tossed to the ground, broken and neglected by you. Now you avoid me like the dark, and I'm done playing your fool. Almost died when you left me. All this pain would break me. Yeah, these tears would drown me. When I saw you release me, your lovers don't escape me. So you deserve to miss me. You deserve to miss me. You deserve to miss me. Hurt and confused. Why do I deserve your hatred? As a villain I've been painted. Spitting venom in the mist, weaving lies as you spin. Manufactured reality.